9 times out of 10, Black women sit in spaces in corporate America where their voices cannot speak truth to power because they could risk losing their jobs, which is how y'all's commander-in-chief, y'all's president chooses to address not just Black women, but Black people. And then let me take you to Tish James. But this person is the same one who wants to come at yet another Black woman for having the nerve to want to buy multiple properties. Black woman buys house, Black woman commits fraud. We've seen that playbook before.
Big Tish is in big trouble. New York Attorney General Letitia James, the queen of dishing it out but can't take it, indicted on charges of mortgage fraud.
First of all, I don't give a damn about Trump. My game is forensic accounting. My game is showing proof. Every single allegation that I've made regarding her is backed up by documents, and that's why they indicted her.
The New York Times, one of the biggest newspapers in the country, tried to, I guess, save Letitia James and basically wind up proving that she is committing mortgage fraud. It's like, have you ever seen someone try to help but then end up body slamming the person they're supposed to defend? That's what just happened here. So big shout out to white collar fraud. With this article we're going to look at today, they definitely pulled the receipts, and the New York Times, they walked into court like they were her defense attorney and ended up proving the prosecution's case. So let's check out this article real quick right here. The New York Times created an unsolvable trap: how media defense proved Letitia James fraud. Breaking down the things that didn't make a whole lot of sense. So let's start from the beginning. You see this property here in Norfolk, Virginia. There's some impossible math happening here. Let's rewind. The house is $100,000 to $150,000 in value. The mortgages is from $250,000 to $400,000. That's not really math. That's wishful thinking with a calculator. And behind those numbers was a second home writer. She swore she lived there personally. Then she swore that she controlled the property. And yet 4 different stories got told to 4 different institutions. A loan to value ratio of 167% to 400%, that's mathematically impossible under standard lending practices. So the 2 mortgages James disclosed were not recorded in the connection to that property, but public records revealed an undisclosed mortgage. So that's the mortgage that was dated back in 2020. The principal amount was $109,600, a mortgage James never disclosed from 2020 to 2022. So you see, there's multiple stories about this property, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense here. To the bank, she said it was a second home. To the insurance, it was owner occupied. Then the IRS, it was a rental property. And then to the New York State, it's an investment. You can't be 4 people at once. Something does not make a whole lot of sense. And you can see from the IRS statement right here explaining that, again, she's giving people different reasons for this property. But let's talk about the real story here. The New York Times buries the lead, but they fired that first shot. So right there, they have this article here called "In the Eye of the Political Storm, a Tiny House in Norfolk, Virginia." So they buried that page 9 of the indictment, which reveals James told her insurance company that the property was owner-occupied, non-seasonal use. And this is extremely devastating because the owner-occupied contradicts everything. The article does read like a Walmart movie. They put the focus on Nakia Thompson. Remember, the grandniece that is a fugitive of justice, living there rent-free since 2020. So this was a part of the Times article talking about Letitia James and what she's doing for her family. The family, Nakia Thompson and her children, have lived at that address since 2020, according to 2 people familiar with the home. Until this week, the plan was a more placid existence that largely gone as expected. The people said a great aunt that purchased the house in 2020 with Miss Thompson in mind would come for extended stay. The article concluded, but in June, Miss Thompson testified to a grand jury in Norfolk that she lived in the house for years and did not pay rent. A person familiar with her testimony said she was asked not to testify again, and the grand jury that voted to indict Miss James was not seated in Norfolk, but in Alexandria. Interesting. Very interesting. You see right here, Miss James even pays for basic upkeep. This was supposed to be like a feel-good story and nothing is wrong here, right? To make Letitia James look innocent. But what happens when your defense story steps on your tax filings? Her Schedule E says rents received. Her insurance says owner occupied. Her bank says second home. And the New York Times says she didn't get any rent at all. The grandniece admitted that she did not pay rent. So now you got to pick one because they all can't be true. As White Collar Fraud broke it down, the Times ignored paragraph 9 of the indictment, the insurance lie. That's the one piece of the puzzle that torpedoes her defense. While they're busy writing soft articles about a nice tiny house, the actual legal bomb is sitting right there in black and white. If the Times is right, it's tax fraud. If the Times is wrong, it's perjury. Either way, that headline becomes basically some evidence. It becomes a boomerang that does not help Letitia James. As you can see right here, paragraph 9, James universal property applications for homeowners insurance indicate owner-occupied non-seasonal use, further misrepresenting the intended use of the property. James filed Schedule E tax forms under penalties of perjury, treating that property like a rental real estate, reporting fair rental stays, 0 personal use stays, thousands of dollars of rents received, and claiming deductions for expenses related to the property, further contradicting the second home classification. She told the insurance company it was owner occupied. Then she told the IRS she got rent. Then the Times said she didn't get rent. This is a paper trail of a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of shady behavior from Letitia James. And the paper trail doesn't blink. Documents don't care if the article had 3 bylines, storylines. They care about signatures, sworn statements, and contradictions. And this is why this is such a big deal for Letitia James. If she said she didn't collect rent, she lied on taxes. If she said I did collect rent, then Denise lied to the grand jury. If she says nothing, the insurance lie still stands. There's a trap with no side door. She's in a world of trouble. There is no way to get out of the situation. And all because the New York Times accidentally broadcast the contradiction nationwide. You can't claim owner occupied to an insurance company while simultaneously telling the IRS that you have 0 personal use days and telling your bank is your second home while someone else is actually living there. This proves systematic fraud, telling each institution exactly what they wanted to hear. So when a newspaper tries to cover someone using the soft narrative but ignores the hard legal language like paragraph 9, they're not helping. They are gift wrapping the evidence for prosecutors. They're out there trying to write a love letter, but the feds are writing an indictment. So shout out again to White Collar Fraud for actually reading that article and breaking everything down. It shows that there is some criminality here. And I don't know how Letitia James is going to be able to get out of this situation. Math is not mathing. Math showed up in court with a suit and a calculator and definitely said, I object. We're going to see what's going on here. New York Times is obviously is in bed with the progressive Democrat Party. They left the insurance fraud angle. They just wanted to focus on family. They thought that was going to soften the story. But I think in the federal's case, soft doesn't beat signatures. They didn't just fail to protect her. They made a contradiction too big to ignore. So we're going to definitely continue to follow this. Again, shout out to White Collar Fraud. And let me know, guys, what you guys think about this. It definitely seems like a massive media cover-up that failed spectacularly. And before I leave, if you got to this point, follow me on Instagram. I am trying to build that Instagram up, but try to do some more quick content or at least clips. My Instagram is Hannibal is Hungry, same as YouTube channel. Follow me there. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.